Going into Longlegs, I expected to see one of the absolute creepiest movies that I have been able to watch all year. Luckily for me and everyone else that was at the movie theater last night for the premiere, that is exactly what we got. Even before this movie came out, I knew by the promotion it was getting, by the billboards, by the posters, by the trailers, everything about it, I knew that it was going to be spectacular, and I'm very pleased with the result. Welcome back to the channel, my name is Haydxn, and today we're going to have an in-depth review at Longlegs. Now obviously this is a movie review, so if you want to avoid any spoilers before you go and watch the movie yourself, then click off the video now and come back after you watch the movie. Now without further ado, go and grab yourself a snack and a drink and let's get right into it. So basically the entire premise of Longlegs is that a serial killer has been on the run for decades and they finally have an agent that is able to crack the case. The killer in question is obviously Longlegs, and the special agent is Agent Lee Harker. Now first off, Longlegs is played by Nicolas Cage, which you probably wouldn't have guessed by just looking at the character firsthand. He looks disgusting and I love it. He does an absolutely phenomenal performance to really sell that this dude is a psycho. But unfortunately for him, Lee Harker puts the special in special agent. The thing about her is that she is actually kind of psychic and she can see and hear things that other people on the force can't. We are introduced to this by one of the very first scenes in the movie when she and another agent go out to find a perpetrator of crime, and she looks at a house and she says the killer is in there. The agent that she's with is like, hold up, we're not gonna call it in yet, let me go and investigate. And when he opens the door, he finds out that the killer is in there. Maybe he didn't really have time to find out because it kind of happened to him, but Lee Harker knew that he was in there, and after they find out that she can figure things out like this without any type of hunch at all, they take her into a psychic test. Yeah, kind of weird. At this point, it kind of felt like it was jumping around. I didn't really understand. But soon after they find out that she is psychic, or 50% psychic, as Agent Carter told her, they take her to the house of a Longlegs crime and they let her in on all the secrets. They tell her how they haven't been able to crack this case in decades and they think that she is the one who's going to help them do it. So with that said, her work gets started in cracking the Longlegs case. Now the thing about Longlegs is that all of the crime scenes center around him, and he drops a note at each one of them in secret coding. Lee Harker, being the special psychic that she is, she's obviously able to crack the code. She figures out what each symbol means and she's able to translate it into writing in English, and with this she gets to work in looking at all of the notes. So while studying all of these notes and all of these case files, she's able to find that there is absolutely no evidence at all that Longlegs has been present in any of these crime scenes. There's no signs of forced entry anywhere, there's no DNA anywhere, nothing showing that this killer has ever been in any of these houses. The thing about all of these cases is that they have all been murder-suicides. It looks like the fathers have taken the lives of the wife and the children, and then himself. But how is Longlegs able to do this without even being there and without even being the one who's doing it? That's where it gets kind of weird. Another thing she finds out about these cases is that all of these crimes take place around the youngest daughter's birthday. So whatever youngest daughter is in the family, her birthday's coming up and then the crime seemingly happens, which is also very important the later we get in the movie. Another thing she's able to figure out is that all of these notes have a reoccurring theme, and it is a reference to the Camera family barn. The Camera family is a family that was massacred by Longlegs, but the youngest daughter survived and was sent to a psychiatric treatment hospital. So before going to talk to the daughter, they decide to visit the Camera family barn first. While researching in the barn, they find a secret passageway in the top of the barn, and under it is a doll. It's a very realistic porcelain doll. They said it is with human hair, and while examining it, they find this weird orb in the doll's head. They say there is nothing in the orb, but when they listen to it with their devices, it gives off some really weird vibes. Stay with me. It's kind of weird. So at this point, they're like, alright, what's going on? We need to go talk to this girl. So they go to visit the girl at the psychiatric hospital and ask her any detail she remembers from her childhood. This is when they figure out that the girl supposedly had a visitor just the day before, and he signed in under Lee Harker's name. Longlegs went to visit this girl and talk to her about something, and then he signed in under Lee Harker's name and nobody even knew about it. So at this point, Lee takes it upon herself to go and speak to this girl. She asks her if she recalls anything from her childhood, and that's when she drops a bomb on us. The way that she's talking about her childhood makes her look like she was the doll that they found. She refers to everything from the doll's point of view and says that everything is to please the man downstairs. Using context clues, we kind of figure out who the man downstairs is, but other than appearing she is being mind controlled by Longlegs or the man downstairs, she doesn't really give too much info to Lee herself. So they get back to the station, and that's when Agent Carter tells Lee that her mom actually made a police report when she was a child. And when Lee goes to ask her mom says that she has no clue what she's talking about. She says she's always tried to protect the family from everything and try to forget everything that she could, but all of Lee's old things are still in her room. Now this is where the movie starts getting really weird, and you really gotta pay attention to everything, even the very subtle clues that the movie's giving. So Lee goes into her room, her childhood room, and she finds a picture that she took of Longlegs when she was a child. So Lee gets this picture and she goes to the police department, and a manhunt is underway for Longlegs because now they know who he is. They catch him and they take him into the interrogation room. Everything he's saying up until this point makes it sound like Longlegs is not working alone. And it also makes it sound like Longlegs is not working for himself. So after reviewing footage of the interrogation, Lee takes it upon herself to go in there and talk to Longlegs. She confronts him about not working alone and wants to know who he's working with. And it's at this point we find out that Longlegs is actually working for the devil. Before Lee can get any more information out of him, he kind of like unalives himself right there by smashing his head on the table. It's a very disturbing scene. And so just like that, she has to figure out everything again. So Agent Browning, who has played a small but not too important role in this movie, takes Lee back to her mother's house. This is where Lee figures she can find more details because her mother's been acting weird and something is not right. So while Lee goes into the house, she hears a gunshot outside, and when she looks out of the window, her mother has killed Agent Browning. Lee goes outside with her gun drawn to find her mother, only to see that her mother is pointing a gun at a doll that looks like Lee when she was a child. Lee tells her mother that Longlegs is dead and that she's free, and then her mother turns around and tells her, "You're free too," before shooting the doll in the head. This let out some weird black smoke out of the doll's head, and it made Lee hear some ringing, and she fell on the ground and passed out. It's at this point we are taking to a transitional scene that is a flashback of the mother telling Lee everything that happened as a child. She says once upon a time a little girl's birthday was coming up and they never got any visitors until Longlegs came to visit with a gift from the church. The gift from the church was the doll that looked like Lee. And the thing about these dolls was that Longlegs was making them and infusing them with this evil spirit of the devil. All he had to do was make sure that the dolls were getting into the home, and the devil would do the rest of the work by possessing the father and getting him to do all the crime himself. That's why Longlegs was never present in any of these scenes, because it was the devil hidden inside of the doll that Longlegs put in there. But the thing that was different about this is that Lee's life was spared as a child because her mother agreed to work with Longlegs. So Lee's mother decided to start posing as the lady from the church and bringing dolls to these families' home, and she had to be present and watch all of these crimes happen. That's why Lee was allowed to grow up after Longlegs paid them a visit with the doll. So all this time her mother has been Longlegs' accomplice, but it was in the name of saving her daughter. It's around this time that Lee actually wakes up. She wakes up in the doll room that Longlegs was living in. So Longlegs was actually living with her mother this entire time, but she never went to visit her mother, so she wouldn't have known. It's at this time Lee is stumbling across the house because she's still getting used to what's going on without this dark magic in her brain, and she gets a phone call that she is late to Ruby's birthday party. Now Ruby is the daughter of Agent Carter. Earlier in the film, Lee is meeting Carter's family and Ruby invites her to her birthday party. At this point, Lee kind of realizes what's going on and she rushes out of the house. As soon as she gets to Agent Carter's, something's already up. Carter's acting weird, he's acting mean, he's yelling, he's cussing, and when she turns the corner, her mom is there on the couch. And Ruby, whose birthday is today, got a doll as a gift. So with the devil, aka the doll, in the house, Agent Carter is possessed, and then he goes on to unalive his wife. He comes back in the room only to be stopped by Lee. Lee shoots him because she has to do what she has to do, but her mother is trying to stop all of it. Her mother says if she doesn't let this play out how it's supposed to, then she is going to burn and twist forever. Basically saying they're going to be sent to hell to just kind of suffer. It's at this point when Lee's mother gets up to try and approach her as well, and then Lee also does what she has to do to her mother. She pulls Ruby out of the way and she's aiming the gun at the doll, and it seems like she's going to break the curse on Ruby and they're going to end it here. But that's when the gun clicks and there is no more ammo. The doll has already done what it's doing and the devil is still present, and it locks eyes with Lee. And the movie cuts off. That's all we get. So let me start by saying, yes, this was an incredible movie from top to bottom. But if I had to choose some cons about the film, I would say I kind of don't really like the way it ended. And I'm also really not one for the whole supernatural side of things. So as soon as it started leading into like the evil spirits and stuff, that was kind of it for me. I really liked the idea of it being a modern day Silence of the Lambs, but it's kind of like Silence of the Lambs meets Satan. I also feel like it was kind of rushed a little bit. The first and second act were incredible, but as soon as it got towards the end, it felt like everything was just being squeezed together so they could meet the cut. I don't see there being a Longlegs 2, but if I had to say go and watch this movie or don't watch this movie, I'm gonna tell you to go and watch this movie. It was a really good story. Although I'm not a big fan of the supernatural stuff like I said, I still do think that the story was good enough to kind of mellow it out. So if you haven't seen it yet, definitely make it a point to go and watch it for yourself. I don't want my opinion on it being the only thing that you follow. This is definitely the creepiest movie I've seen all year, and one of the eeriest movies I've seen of all time. The entire movie just keeps you on the edge of your seat, and you constantly feel like something's coming even when it doesn't. So for the overall experience, it was incredible. That's gonna wrap it up for today, guys. If you enjoyed this video, or if you watched Longlegs and you enjoyed or didn't enjoy Longlegs, then let me know down in the comments below. Be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you like this type of content. And as always, I will be sure to see you guys in the very next video. Peace!